as a soundbite. Welcome to Bracket Bashers, the podcast. We take a bracket of 32, 64, 128 or more, and banter our way down to a winner. I am your humble of host this week, Freddie Fisher, and this is Shy.
Your weird bastard Shy, and this is
the weird over-talkative nerd Nancy from the Dr. P.F. Jeremiah and His Infertile Roommate podcast.
And of course, this is the show where we take a random tournament of different topics and banter our way down to a winner. We have a couple of lifelines when it comes to that, though, as a kind of try to keep it game show-esque and lighthearted as much as possible. And that is this one. Number one is Pass the Parcel. We do not have Pass the Parcel this week. Actually, take that back. We do have Pass the Parcel. I'm miscounting. There's three of us, which means the fourth member of our show is actually the audience. Pass the Parcel with three people means that it is off the board, but is still an option type thing. You can do it as many times as you want, but the same rule applies. It only goes up to the quarterfinals. Steal a vote. It has the same rules as before, but steal a vote, the cool thing about having a steal a vote on a three-person team is that if you steal somebody's vote, your pick automatically goes to the next round because it will get 2 out of the 3 votes no matter what. And of course, blowing your load, the oldie but the goodie, goes all the way to the end of the round. But that is if you blow your load one time during the show. We vote round robin style on here as always. So if you're one of the first people to go and don't want to be one of the first people to go, you will blow your load. And once you blow your load, you'll be hearing this sound. And that means you're going last. If somebody else blows their load after you, you're no longer going last, but you're going directly before them, and so on and so forth. That is that's the show. The topic is, of course, if you haven't seen from the cover art, is Neighbors. We're talking about TV Neighbors all the way back from the 70s to today. So if you have a good neighbor, a bad neighbor, this is probably a good show to go ahead and give to them to give your grievances. It is myself, Shy, and Nancy on today's show. I'm going to start us off. As far as neighbors go, we have a King of the Hill matchup coming on. It is either Bill or Dale in the opening matchup on this one. And as far as neighbors go, like, I know Dale is the better personality and everything else, but like, Bill is probably the better neighbor because Dale is always trying to get people into shit.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give Bill some love on this one. And if you have a neighbor good enough that you have his name tattooed to the back of your head, I got to give him props. So Bill's going to be getting my vote on this one. Shy, Bill or Dale?
just because I would probably be a very similar neighbor, just for shits and giggles, I've got to go for Dale.
Dale gets a vote, which means it's a tie-breaking decision coming down to Nancy. I have a feeling we're going to have a lot of tie-breaking decisions on this show. Is it Dale or Bill?
So, not to sound uneducated, I haven't watched this show in like 20 years, and and I didn't watch many episodes of the show, to be honest. So which one is the one with the sunglasses and the trucker hat? And which one is the one in the white wife beater and the white t-shirt?
Well, you do have the two characters down, which is good. Dale is the one. He's the conspiracy theorist. He has the entire Bug Be Gone business. He is the one with the sunglasses. Bill is the one with the wife beater who's got his wife left him, and he's in a really down straits. He's an ex-army sergeant. I think he made it to sergeant by the time he left.
Honestly, I'm gonna go with Bill. As much as Dale is a fun character on the show, I'm gonna pick Bill in this one. Also, shout out to the upcoming revival season. I've been like inundated with that opening sequence on my Instagram. Like every time I open my Instagram, I get that in my algorithm.
Speaking of trailers, by the way, the trailer to Happy Gilmore 2 dropped this last
I
week.
just saw that. I just saw that
Oh
this
my!
morning.
It looks so good.
Mhm.
Yeah, I saw it. I was watching Tudum last night, and I saw it.
Which sucks.
One of the more good things to come out of Tudum. There are several things in there where I was very disappointed and cringed.
Well, and there's as a wrestling fan, there's several pro wrestlers in the actual trailer for the show for the movie too. Becky Lynch is in there. MJF is in there. I think MJF plays his son or something along those lines on the actual movie. So as a wrestling fan, I'm gonna watch it no matter what. But I don't hold high hopes for it because one, it's a Netflix
Mhm.
movie, and two, it's a second movie for one of my favorite Adam Sandler films of all time. So, but I will give it the benefit of the doubt off this one. Bill moves on 2-1 to the next round. Shy starts us off. Shy, is it from SpongeBob? We have a SpongeBob matchup. Is
Oh.
it Squidward or Patrick?
Oh boy. Do I want the pain in the ass loud one, or do I want the stupid one that's gonna come to me for everything? Oh boy. I think I'm probably gonna have to go for Patrick just because if he's gonna come to you needing everything, you could probably make him do a lot of stupid shit that you don't want to do. So, gonna have to go that route.
Would you trust Patrick to do the shit that you don't want to do though? Like,
It would I would have to be very like selective on what I'm having him do, but
all right,
at least that
Nancy.
would get anyway.
Nancy, is it Patrick or Squidward?
So I've been watching a lot of SpongeBob recently, not by choice, but because my 5-year-old has discovered it and has become obsessed with Squidward and Plankton. I'm gonna go with Squidward just because some of the episodes that we've watched recently. Um, I don't think I would want to be neighbors with Patrick based on the episodes that my son has been obsessively watching and stuff that Patrick does in those episodes. So I'm gonna pick. I'd rather take Squidward over Patrick in that situation.
I'm gonna go with Squidward as well. I love my neighbors. I really do. Uh, the neighbor to my left is never home. Like, she may be gone for weeks at a time. So like, it's not. It's like I have somebody over there, but I don't have somebody over there, which is really nice. I also live right next door to a Mexican restaurant on my other side of that one. So uh, I really don't have a neighbor. I have an open parking lot.
So it
Majority
always
of it,
smells delicious.
and it does, and it's always like fresh, handmade tortillas. It's not like a Tex-Mex type place. Like they legitimately. I would give you their name, but I can't pronounce it half the time, and I don't want to mispronounce it. So, uh, shout out to them. But it's the Mexican restaurant in Pella, Iowa, on Washington Street. That's the best thing I can go ahead and tell you. Squidward is the definition of the anti-State Farm slogan of like a good neighbor, stay the fuck over there.
Yeah.
So, by the way, I tried to get a State Farm person on today's show, and no. I thought it'd be a perfect advertising opportunity. Talking about neighbors, State Farm. No, apparently State Farm's not cool enough. State Farm, not a sponsor. Probably not going to be now. Squidward gets to vote and the win off of this one. Nancy starts us off. Nancy, is it Flanders from The Simpsons or Pete from Goof Troop?
Hmm. I I do have a fondness for the many iterations of Pete. Um, but I am gonna go with Flanders.
Flan- Flanders gets the vote. I I think Flanders is probably I'm not really an anti-religious person. I just don't like Bible thumpers for the most part, like people who try to shove it down your throat type thing. Where religion is like a penis. It's nice to have. It's just not good to shove down somebody's throat if they don't want it there.
Fair.
Uh, but other than that, Flanders is a good neighbor.
Yeah.
Like he lets you borrow stuff willingly or not, and
Here's
like
the sorry.
he's a good person to give shit to, and he he's just a good neighbor to have. And you never hear about the Simpsons' other neighbor type thing. And could you
Mhm.
imagine being Flanders, like living next to Homer and all the antics and everything that goes on over there? You got to give him points for that.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
Peach Pete, I can't really say much about him either way. I'm gonna go with Flanders on this one.
So I don't know much about Goof Troop, but just based on all of the like Disney cartoons in like recent memory where you get to see Pete as a neighbor, Pete, I won't say he's like a terrible neighbor, but Pete is definitely the neighbor who sometimes like has you be like, okay, maybe you should. Cause there's definitely like shorts where like he starts competitions, he crashes in his neighbor's house, he's constantly like berating neighbors and coworkers. And like that's the thing, it's like if we're gonna compare them as neighbors, Flanders is 100 times better than Pete. Now Pete's not a terrible neighbor, he's just also like, oh great.
Well, see,
Uh,
I think Pete
yeah,
seems like an asshole, so
Pete is an asshole. Pete's the
He
type
is
of
an
person
asshole.
that throws his weight around.
Yeah.
But Flanders is also a religious zealot. So if we're gonna forgive Flanders for being a religious
I
zealot,
think I'd rather listen to that than an asshole.
My thing is, I'd rather have a religious zealot and a Bible thumper next to me than have someone with, like, again, I don't remember a lot about Goof Troop, but like some of the things that Pete does in the Mickey shorts,
yeah.
the Disney Junior Mickey shorts, by the way, not the new ones. But like on in those ones, like there's one where like he just crashes in Mickey's house and just stays a week and like takes up space. And like I would rather have Flanders. I'll take Flanders over Pete any day. Now Disney's really trying to mellow him out and make him less douchebaggy. And they're like Disney Junior stuff, but like he's still a jerk.
Well, and I'm going more off of the Pete from, and I know they weren't neighbors in this, but the Pete from like a Goofy movie
Yeah,
where they
yeah,
were
no, he's a jerk
coworkers,
in that.
and he's still a jerk in that one, and that's one of my favorite Disney movies of all time, and I think that that's where I get a lot of my stuff from. So I'm gonna go with Flanders on this one. Anyway, Shy, your vote was on. What's your vote?
So I have never actively watched The Simpsons because I've never wanted to. Um, but obviously, in passing of like the last almost 30 years, you come to know enough. And yeah, I would much rather have Ned Flanders as a neighbor than Pete.
Three and out. Flanders gets that particular vote. I started this one off as either going to be Kimmy Gibbler from Full House or Penny, no name Penny, or finishes out as a Hofstetter by the end of this series from Big Bang Theory. Um,
Oh,
I've never liked Kimmy Gibbler. Like I think she's probably one of the most annoying neighbors in any kind of show that I've ever seen. Even Urkel, even Urkel, I think Kimmy Gibbler will give Urkel a run for his money as far as being the neighbor that you just don't really want. Penny, on the flip side of that, is the type of person that like she mooches off of you, but she also, considering the type of the show and who you're talking about, she also gives you little life lessons in how to be a part of society type
Mhm.
thing, or a different part of society, how to get out of your comfort zone in a lot of different things. So I got to give Penny props on that one. She's going to be getting my vote. Shy, is it Penny or Gibbler?
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be Penny over Kimmy because I don't know how those kids' parents let her be in the house so much. I would just be like, "You stay out in the fucking yard with her." I cannot.
Gets a vote. Nancy.
Yeah, I think I have to go with Penny too, just more because like the more I think about with Kimmy is first off is especially as we got into Fuller House, the flaws in her character definitely did come out and they outright like tackled some of that. Also the fact that like we're talking 20 years later and she's still just coming in and moving in with her friend in her house is just like okay. Penny is very much of I feel like she's a bit of a different situation. Also, before there's even like a relationship with Leonard, there's definitely this kind of unlikely friendship that blooms. And the fact that she's able to really understand Sheldon and to dish it back at him is I feel like she's just like is definitely a step above where she eventually becomes like a a friend to them. She's in their friend group, then she ends up with Leonard, and then like you also get like her background and you get details about her like fleshed out, and she gets more fleshed out as a character. So I feel like we have to go with Penny.
I made a comment about Penny's last name. It's never revealed on audio what her last name is, but
Hmm.
there is a shot where she gets a package delivered to her place, and it shows the package. So it does show her last name, but for the life of me, I can't remember what it is. And from what I understand, it's what I remember of it. It's a very common last name.
Yeah.
So it was
Hmm.
just type thing. That's something to look up, to Google on that one. I would do it on the thing here, but I guarantee you it's not going to give me the. It would take me too long to go down that particular rabbit hole.
Also, can we have a shout out to that show for the iconic castings that they give like the main character's parents? Like and family. They have like some really good people who come in as like the pair as the moms, the dads, and the brothers. Like especially I'm thinking of Penny because her family just like I've watched that episode so many times because I love the Jack McBair and I can't remember exactly who plays her mom, but I know the actress. Um, and I was gonna say it was Katie Seagal. I'm like, no, that was her mother in Eight Simple Rules, and I don't think it's the same
I mean,
actress.
and to be perfectly honest, that wouldn't surprise me either, because Big Bang Theory is one of those type of shows that they call back to other shows.
Yeah.
The entire what Will Wheaton thing
Hmm.
that has just return. It just it's I'm a huge fan of the Big Bang Theory, especially as a. I'm not going to call myself a nerd because I'm nowhere near that smart, but um, as a lover of different TV shows, and especially the 80s and 90s type thing, I love the Big Bang Theory because it calls back to a whole bunch of just stuff going on. And so Penny moves on 3-0 to the next round. Next up, Shy starts us off. Shy, from King of the Hill and Family Guy, is it Joe or Boomhauer?
Uh, I gotta go Joe on that one. Just as a quick, yeah, it's got to be Joe.
Joe gets a vote. Nancy.
Joe.
Oh, I would have gone with Boomhauer on this one, just for the simple fact that like Boomhauer is like typecasting at the best possible way. He's just a southern boy you can't understand. He's not quite
So you can't
Cajun.
make out you can't make out a damn word he says.
Yeah, except you can make out the first word and the last word, and you got to kind of go off of that one. And I appreciate people like Boomhauer, but it's not in the cards for me today for that one. Nancy starts us off. Nancy, is it Mr. Wilson or Wilson? Mr. Wilson is from Dennis the Menace, or Wilson from Home Improvement.
Oh, it's Wilson. It's totally Wilson.
Uh, gets a vote. I'm gonna go for Wilson as well off of this one. I mean, there's conversations on the backstage interview that we do is like what family would you want to join type thing, not replace somebody but join on. And I say Home Improvement not because of the family itself, but having Wilson as a neighbor in general. And Wilson helps out everybody in the family too. Like there's a one-on-one conversation, sometimes life altering conversations with every member of that family. And I'm pretty sure you had a life altering conversation with like Al at least one time too. So I
Yeah.
got to give him props on that one. Wilson gets my vote. Shall I finish this up?
Yeah, it's got to be Wilson for me too. I couldn't stand living next to Mr. Wilson.
Mr. Wilson. Okay. Three now. Uh, okay, want to make sure I was on the right spot. Next up, next up we have Marcy Darcy from Married with Children, or Gladys Kravitz from Bewitched. And yes, those two were put together just because they're both their names rhyme, and I think it's hilarious. So, and I'm a child. Um, I don't remember much about Gladys Kravitz because Bewitched is not necessarily a show I enjoyed as to the point that I can remember it. But on the flip side of that, I would not want to have Marcy as a neighbor. She seems to me like the one of the biggest Karens, and I say that I don't say that lightly either for all you quote unquote Karens out there. But I'm gonna go for Marcy just for the simple reason that Marcy took a lot of shit from Al, but she also
Mhm.
ditched it out. So she's got at least
Yeah,
my respect for dishing out as many one-liners to uh to Al as Al dished to her. So Marcy Darcy gets my particular vote off of that one. Shy, is it Marcy Darcy or Gladys Kravitz?
yeah. I have to go with Marcy too because I never watched Bewitched, but I did regularly watch Married with Children, so it was a show that I enjoyed. So I don't know anything about Gladys.
Nancy?
So I'm in the opposite situation of Shy. I I have hardly ever seen any of Married with Children, but I have seen a lot of Bewitched. And it's slightly ironic because I'm pretty sure I have a distant. I'm pretty sure Married with Children is a show that I have a great uncle who was in the writer's room of, and he was a writer on that show. So, but I've never seen it at all. So I'm going to go with Bewitched.
Dude, Married with Children is one of my favorite shows before they went all like the world went all like
Mhm.
PC. Just
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that my mom's uncle, because I know, so he's a Hollywood screenwriter, and he's won an Emmy for a very iconic sitcom, and I'm pretty sure it was Married with Children, but I don't remember because I just
That's
know it
really
was a show that my mom mentioned. Oh yeah, he won an Emmy. I'm like, oh, for what? And then she mentioned it. I'm like, That's a very famous show. How did this not come up in a conversation?
Well, I mean, if he ever wants to talk about it, we have plenty of shows that are built on talking. So
Unfortunately, he passed away 5 years
okay.
ago. So, unless you get a Ouija board, impossible.
Well, I would have to figure out how to use a Ouija board, and I don't want to do that. So
I would not suggest it.
no. Marcy Darcy moves on though, 2-1 to the next round. Last up, Shy starts us off. Shy, is it Larry Dallas from Three's Company, or Mimi Bobek from the Drew Carey Show?
uh, just because of the memories that I have, I've got to go with Mimi.
Mimi gets a vote off of that one. Nancy,
Okay, so Drew Carey Show was one of those shows that like we weren't supposed to be watching at the time it was on, but me my sister who I shared a room with, we had a TV in our bedroom and we totally watched that show all the time. That and Who's Line, which we got in trouble for watching Who's Line. Um, like my dad threatened to take our TV away for us watching Drew Carey Show and Who's Line, so I have to go with Mimi.
Mimi gets another one. I'm gonna go with Mimi as well. I got crap for it because Mimi isn't technically a neighbor to Drew, but
Hmm.
she is an office neighbor to Drew. So I
She
concluded it to
eventually
be a
becomes family.
yeah. So like I gotta give him that. I don't know much about three company anyway. It's a little bit before my time and didn't reach over to the shows that I wanted to watch. So Mimi Bobek gets my vote and the win, moves on to the next round 3-0. By the way, for all you people out there like Bubbles,
Yeah.
we'll be right back right after this break. All right. Before I became a podcaster, I never imagined all these requests for 5 stars. If you did anything important, I was very wrong about that. But being the bastards that we are, we're not just going to expect you to give up those 5 stars with nothing in return. I'll trade you for it. If you send us a letter, a question, or anything you deem necessary along with those 5 stars, we'll not only give you a shout out on the show, but we'll also read your submission live on air. We like to call this our Thank You To review. If you want to be part of the Thank You To review, like today's person, send it to our email address. That is bracket ty2r at yahoo.com. That is bracketty, the number 2, and then r at yahoo.com to get in. Does not only work for our shows for this particular show, but all the shows on the ABC network or the ABC podcast channel. There you go. Today's uh, today's submission comes from Leslie. Says, "Good day, guys. Greetings from Canada,
Woo!
Toronto, or close to it at least. I love your I love your show. It makes a long train ride fly by. So 5 stars all around. My question actually comes from my wife. What is one TV show that deserves a reboot, like a complete restart from scratch? My personal favorite is Friends, and my wife's is Firefly. Happy summer. Signed, Leslie and Jane Northman. I've never seen Leslie as a guy's name, by the way, so I kind of appreciate that. I take that back. I have Leslie
Leslie.
Nielsen. Leslie Nielsen. The
Also, Leslie, I don't remember the actor's name or if he was the character's name, but Will and Grace. He's the little
Jordan.
character actor.
Leslie
Yeah,
Jordan.
Leslie
Yeah,
Jordan.
Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
Little short guy.
Yeah.
yeah. I love him. I
Rest in
loved
peace.
him so much. He was amazing. Rest in peace.
My mother-in-law's name is Leslie, and I just for some reason went on that one. Anyway, P.S. Keep up the good work. It is appreciated. Thank you, by the way, guys, for the letter. Uh, I did not give you this question beforehand, so which I normally try to do, and I completely forgot about it. So I'm gonna go first and give you guys a little bit of time to kind of get your guys' answers worked out. As far as a show that deserves a restart from scratch, There's a lot of them. I think I
Mhm.
think I think the show Eureka deserves a restart from scratch, mainly because I just want to watch the show again. It's a good show from beginning to end. It's a good show. When people ask me what show uh, was just as good in the first season as it was the last season, Eureka is a show that I try to lean people to. So I would love to see that one remade. The show Wishbone.
Yes, please.
This is gonna be my final answer on this one. I'm gonna go Wishbone. Wishbone, by the way, for anybody out there who didn't grow up poor like me, there was a show in the '90s called Wishbone. It was about a dog, little terrier, like
Jack
Boston
Russell
Terrier, I think.
Terrier.
Jack Russell
Mhm.
Terrier. I think it was I thought it was a Boston, but apparently not. A Jack
Let's
Russell
see what
Terrier
was
dog that um, re- retold classic lit, and he always played the main character and everything like that. I think the show itself is absolutely great. I think it if you go back on YouTube and watch it now, it's not the graphics suck. So I think with today's graphics, so 30 years later, graphics on a topic like Wishbone, and don't change it to cartoon mode because I know that's one of the first things people are going to do is change it to a cartoon, like
Mhm.
a what is it, Rough Ruffington type thing. Don't do that. Have a legitimate same type of show, same storylines, whatever. Even have it a spin off from a different show, like um, having the dog from like uh, Frasier, the little dog from Frasier would be a
Mhm.
perfect person pet for that type thing, and just have him go off. And I think it'd be fun. I even as a person, my son, who's 6 years old now, I think he's right around that age to watch that show and actually get a good type of thing out of it. And I think it's a show that a complete restart from scratch. Granted, you wouldn't have to worry about following the old show anyway because it show's 30 years old and has been gone for like 30 years. So like I would just go off of that one. Shy, do you have a show that you want to restart completely from scratch?
So I don't believe that it was a very long show to begin with, but there's actually two. One that was like live action, and one that was animated. Um, but I would love to see from Disney, Phil of the Future be redone. That was a favorite one. Back whenever I was younger. And then I would love to see today's take on Jimmy Neutron.
Okay. All right. Nancy?
So I've been thinking over this. I'm thinking more of like show. I was thinking a lot of shows that either got because circumstances got completely trampled in and didn't really get
Firefly.
to like yeah, Firefly. Firefly is one where I would love them to just start from scratch because of stuff. But one that came to mind is Pushing Daisies. Because of the writer's strike in I think 2009, its first season just kind of it got greenlit for a second season only because its first season got cut short because of writer's strike. But then just with everything going on as they weren't able to tell a great story or stories, they kind of like mesh must they muddled up the whole plot. And I just would love for them to get another chance to redo Pushing Daisies and to outright be able to sit out, maybe get into a streaming network to reboot the show and for them to like, okay, we have a set episodes. This is the story we're telling for this season. Let's get this taken care of. Um, and another in another vein, and it's kind of like doing a live action and an animated is but this is like so there was a children's show in the 90s called Hysteria, that I am very convinced I'm the only person who remembers. Um, it was very much in the vein of Animaniacs. For anyone out there who remembers this show, it was about historical things, but it took a lot from Animaniacs and a lot of inspiration from Animaniacs. I would love someone to reboot Hysteria or start Hysteria fresh, get it out there, because I think now is the time where even adults might need Hysteria, as a funny way to talk about history and to honestly talk about history and not the things that we have retrofitted into history.
Hmm. I would like to see a live action Magic School Bus too.
I would love to see them try again with Magic School Bus, but the most recent reboot, me and Davis sat down and watched it, and we're like, and you'd think that it would do well because if anyone could replace Lily Tomlin, Kate McKinnon should be great, but it just did not work. It did not work.
Mm.
I don't mind the new version of it as much. I mean, I prefer the old one. Don't get me wrong, I really do. I prefer the old version of it. But like, I think the new version of Magic School Bus gets way too much crap than it deserves. It's watered down as what the old one was, but I did make sure since it's not on when I got it, it wasn't on any kind of streaming. It's on I think it's on Max now. But when I got it, it wasn't on streaming, but I did get the entire collection of the Magic School Bus series
Yeah.
on DVD, and it's probably the most expensive DVD collection that I have, the entire set that I've had because I couldn't find it anywhere else but online type thing. So no, I appreciate that. I think there's a whole bunch of kid shows, but I think I I don't know if it's because I want to be a kid again type thing, or I think they actually need to be rebooted.
There's a whole bunch of kids shows from the 90s that I would love to see rebooted, and it's ones that aren't getting rebooted. And I would love to see us return to form with more puppet shows, as more puppetry shows, because right now we're only really down to Sesame Street, and for any PBS Kids parents out there, Donkey Hody. Um, but like I remember being a kid and there being like Puzzle Place and Bear in the Big Blue House and It's a Big Big World and Cat in the Hat, um, the Dr. Seuss show, and there was other ones too. There was David talked about one. It was something something Island. It was on
Gullah
Nickelodeon.
Gullah
I
Island.
Gullah Gullah Island. I so my parents did not have cable, so I had known nothing about the Nickelodeon shows. Um, but like there's all these live action and also my personal favorite, the Out of the Box. Like there's all
Yeah.
these great kids shows that were puppetry and that were live action, and I'm
Mm.
really missing that, especially watching shows with my son, because all of it's animated or CG now.
And Between the Lions.
The
Yeah,
Between the Lions, another one popped into my head and then quickly, oh, this is one that not everyone's gonna know because it was a French Canadian import. It was called Weasley's House or Whimsy's House. It had like this little dragon girl. I got it. I basically lived on the Canadian border, so I, my PBS kid station had it. But like that one was really cool too.
I miss
Um, but
those
like there's
PBS Kids shows. Like I freaking loved Dragon Tales.
I,
yeah, there
I
are
still
so
sing
many
that
great
sing that song every
shows.
once in a while.
I did too.
Yeah, that and the
There's
entire
so many PBS shows that I miss.
Hmm.
And like
uh,
they've rebooted
what's it
some
called?
and it's just for me, it's like I'm like, nope. I'm sorry, the new Clifford's a dog. Me and David are like, you're cute, you're fine, you're not the old Clifford.
Shout out to Netflix stuff like that though. Like we're always discovering stuff on Netflix for our son.
Oh yeah.
Um, there's a there's a karate sheep show that he watches. There's no words in this entire show, which is good because it's a French show.
Hmm.
Like all the people who make it is French. It's written in French and everything else. And I don't understand French, but like the show itself, it it's it's about a wolf trying to eat sheep, and there's like a mama sheep that knows karate, and there's a daddy sheep that, well, let's go male and female. I don't know what the if they're parents or not, but they save the sheep every episode with either karate or gadgets, and it's one of the dumbest show. There's that, and there's a show called Super Potato
Hmm.
that is exactly what you think it is. It's um, vegetables from the refrigerator being superheroes, but all in like a single family home.
I was like, I used to love watching, and it wasn't that long ago. I really loved The Loud House. I would sit there and watch that with my nephew, and I'm like, this is a good show.
I tell you right now, none of these shows that we're mentioning though live up to Bluey. Sorry, you
I
have a standard to meet, and you're just not going to meet it.
I think it's just like no one's meeting up to Bluey, and several people are desperately trying. And I will say that the people who are desperately trying, I then go and watch their show. I'm like, oh, you are so bad. You're just you really want to be Bluey, but you're not even close.
Brad, but it
You
ain't
know
gonna
who you
work.
are.
We need to do another Bluey episode. There, Nancy, another Bluey bracket one of these days. Even if
I'm
it's
totally game.
like just a random bonus episode of something. You, me, and Kate. Just
Listen, if it's even just Bluey quotes, because there are there are Bluey quotes. And there's one character where I will say that me and my husband have quoted a lot, and he is not a main character. But like, yeah, I would love to do Bluey. Is I we get a lot of Bluey in our house, even though he's currently not watching Bluey because he's too cool for it at the moment.
I just got done watching like 4 or 5 episodes before I came down here. So I'm not, and my son wasn't even watching. He turned it on, watched a single episode, and then went to play his tablet. He went to go turn it off, but he couldn't find where he put the remote. And normally
In
I
this
would tell him, it's like, no, 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 keep looking for the remote until you find it. You have to finish what you're doing before you start something else. That's a
Right
rule.
before recording, we had an argument because my husband wanted to watch the music video for Hamburger Dog, which is a new song to come out of the Blueyverse. And my son was like, "No!" and yelling at him because he didn't want to watch this Bluey music video. And my husband's like, "I want to watch Hamburger Dog."
I think the last episode I watched before I came down here was, I think it was Horsey Ride. So
I love Horsey Ride. Oh my gosh, I love that one so much.
I think that's what we're gonna have to do. We're gonna have to figure it, because I think when we did it last time, I made the list of all the episodes that I wanted to put down. So I think if we can get 5 people on the show to do it, which you, me, and Kate is going to be 3. If we get 5 people to do it, have everybody pick like 6 episodes type
Depending on
thing.
when you record it, you could probably get my husband in too.
Yeah, okay.
Depending on when.
I mean, Kate's going on maternity leave pretty soon, so I'm pretty sure if we can probably do something during the day if we can find a 5th person, but do that and get so each person can draft, because we're gonna have to draft it, because I guarantee you some of us are gonna pick the same shows, and just draft 6 episodes per person. That would bring it up to 30, and then just have um whatever. I think Granddad I can't remember what the other episode was. I know Granddad won it. I think it was Granddad and Sleepy Time ended up getting the final two when we originally did it for the show. So having those two as the final two, knowing that they're already in there before people draft things too.
And was this
So
done before they dropped the sign?
uh our show, yeah, it was a while back. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
We need to we do need another Bluey episode just for shits and giggles.
because I'm sorry. The sign is going to blow a lot of the episodes. I stand firm that the sign kind of
I'm
blows a
not a
lot of my favorite episodes out of the water.
I'm not a fan of the sign. I'm just not. I can understand how people like it, but it's not. It's a good episode, but it's a good episode among good episodes. Not a great episode, and a great episode is the measuring stick of the TV show in general. So that's what it is. Anyway, before we get down this fucking rabbit hole, Leslie and Jane Northman, I appreciate your note. I appreciate the 5 stars, and thank you for being a part of the Thank You To review. If you want to be a part of the Thank You To review, it is BRACKETTY2R at yahoo.com to get in. Does not only work for this show, but if you want to be part of any of our other shows on the ABC Podcast Network, it works for that one as well. Welcome back for the second part of round one. Looks like uh, Nancy starts us off on this one. Nancy, from Family Guy, is it Cleveland or Quagmire?
Oh, I hate this show. I hate Family Guy so much. I'm going to go with Cleveland because I hate Quagmire. So,
Don't forget, you guys also all have pasta parcels as well, and they're
oh
all
yeah,
free. So
I did forget.
all pasta parcels are free. So just keep that in mind. I'm gonna go for Cleveland as well, though, and the reason why is I mean Quagmire. If I was Peter,
How are you gonna defend this, Freddie?
if I was Peter, Quagmire literally was peeping on my wife in the bathroom. Like
Mm-hmm.
I can't. If my wife enjoys stuff like that, I wouldn't mind it, but because I'm open minded. But there's you kind of have to have a limit there, and I think Quagmire would definitely cross the line a lot more and a lot more often than Cleveland would, and I think Cleveland would make a pretty good neighbor just in general. Like, I mean, his vocal tones would piss me off the way that Cleveland talks, but that's the slowness of how he talks bothers me. But Cleveland's vocal tones is a lot less than Quagmire's just creepiness. So I'm gonna go with Cleveland on this one. Nancy, or not Nancy, sorry, Shy. Is it Cleveland or Quagmire?
Yeah, it's gonna be Cleveland because we know why.
We know why. Cleveland moves on 3-0, faces a 2-1 in the next round. I start this one off as either going to be Bob Pinciotti from the '70s show or Chuck Larrabee from Last Man Standing. Uh, it's Bob because of upside down pineapples. Shy.
um, I'm gonna go ahead and pass the parcel on this one because I don't really care about either.
It's gonna go on that one in a 7 vote difference on that one. If good, better if you do math on this one, and a 7 vote difference on this one. Bob gets shy vote as well. Nancy, is it Bob or Chuck?
Oh, it's Bob.
Bob.
It's Bob. So sometimes Bob was one of my favorite parts of that show. Another show that me and my sister watched, even though we were told not to.
I gotta clear some stuff up real quick. And... All right, so 3-0. Bob moves on to the next round. Next up, Shy starts us off. Shy, we have some cartoons going on. We have some '90s cartoons going on this one. Is it Mr. Dink from Doug or Mr. Big Head from Rocko's Modern Life?
Oh boy. Um, just purely for liking the show more, I'm gonna have to go with Mr. Big Head.
Gets a vote, Nancy.
I'm gonna have to pass the parcel because as much I my only familiarity with Rocco's Modern Life is my husband singing the theme song every single day because my son has a stuffed animal named Rocco, and I don't remember anything of Doug. Sorry,
Which
so I'm
isn't,
passing the parcel.
it's not even much. It's not even that good of a theme song, to be perfectly honest.
It's solely because because David was a Nickelodeon kid, and and my son has a stuffed therapy crocodile for him to do sensory therapy that came pre-named as Rocco. So whenever I'm like, okay, we need to go grab Rocco, he just starts singing Rocco's Modern Life. Like, so I'm passing the parcel.
Which means it's going to go to Mr. Dink on that one. Um, I'm, there's no reason in my mind to go for Mr. Big Head on this one. It's Mr. Dink. Mr. Dink was a better neighbor, much more friendlier neighbor. The theme song to Doug is one hell of a lot better than the theme song to Rocco's Modern Life. Um, I hate to say it, but the show Doug is better than Rocco's Modern Life too. Even now, depending
Listen,
depending on what
I
version.
I'm
really like little inappropriate jabs that are in Rocco's Modern Life.
Yeah, I prefer that too. It depends what version. If you're going for the Nickelodeon version of Doug, I agree that Rocco's Modern Life is better, but the ABC version of Doug is better in my opinion than Rocco's Modern Life. As a kid, as an adult, though, Rocco's Modern Life is a lot better because it gives me a lot of Shrek vibes. The fact that he worked at a place called the Choky Chicken type thing as a telephone operator, if you know, you know. But Doug is going to be getting my vote off of this one, so Mr. Dink moves on 2-1, faces a 3 and out on the in the next round. Oh, Nancy starts this one off. Nancy, is it Frank and Marie from Everybody Loves Raymond or Fred and Ethel from I Love Lucy?
I'm gonna have to go with Fred and Ethel because I would rather be next door neighbors with my spouse's crazy best friend and who does hijinks with them than be neighbors with my spouse's mother-in-law who doesn't seem to like me. Like I'll take being Ricky to Lucy and Ethel than being Ray's wife, who I can't remember her name. Like I'll take I'll take Ethel.
Hey Google, what's the wife's name in Everybody Loves Raymond?
On the website m.facebook.com, they say Patricia Heaton became a household name as Deborah Barone, the witty
Deborah Barone,
Deborah.
played by Patricia Heaton. Is
Yeah.
there you go. I didn't know that either. I was trying to figure it out. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. This is something that I could
I
actually ask Google.
I was
So
trying to think. I knew it was like a common name, and I'm just like, I can't remember. I knew it was played by Patricia Heaton. I can't remember the character's name. I just remember her and Marie not having a great relationship.
no, I'm gonna. I'm gonna go with Frank and Marie, and I agree with you, Nancy. I agree with you. Having the crazy best friend is usually better than having the mother-in-law. However, I have a very, very, very good relationship with my in-laws. My in-laws are absolutely awesome people. One thing that we don't have majority of the time is childcare. That if we need to go take care of something real quick, or if if I need to fly across the country on like a drop of a hat because my dad died or something along those lines, I just can't drop them off with my in-laws because my in-laws have work and a whole bunch of other stuff going on. So having people like Frank and Marie across the street where I can just say, hey, uh, something came up. Do you mind taking the kids for a week? And it'd be great. Plus, my mom's down in Texas. My dad is 40 some miles away, probably more than that actually. And he's going to be moving down to Missouri soon enough. So, like, I'm not going to have any. I am the last member of my family growing up that includes myself, any siblings I have, any aunts and uncles that I have, um, any biological relationships from childhood that will be in the state of Iowa, within the same state that I'm in. After my dad moves away in the next year, I'm not going to have anybody left. I'm going to be the very, very last one. So I would love to have a Frank and Marie living right across the street from me, as long as you have a decent relationship, which is something you can actually work on
Yeah.
from, from time to time. Sometimes having a crazy best friend can get my wife into trouble, and you can only pay so much bail, especially in a small town like where I live, where people talk. So I'm going to go with Frank and Marie on this one. Either way, I don't think either parent's going to make it out of the next round. So there's that. Shy, finish us up. It is a tie breaking decision. Is it Frank and Marie or Fred and Ethel?
Yeah, I've gotta agree with, Nancy and say, Frank and Ethel.
I mean Fred.
Fred and Ethel.
Yeah,
Fred and Ethel.
but yeah, they're too similar.
Although although Frank and Fred realistically are like two of the exact same characters.
Yeah. Yeah, but I feel like that's an archetype so much when you have like the side characters, especially. Sorry, apologize for that. I don't know what's going on. Um,
Sounds
I'm
like
gonna mute
somebody's
myself.
coughing.
No, it's someone having a tantrum, which I think
Oh.
Dad has nullified. Um, where was I? Sorry. Um,
Fred, let's say Fred and Ethel move on 2-1 to the next round. I start this one off. It's either going to be Kramer from Seinfeld or Larry Harkin from Friends. So this is Friends versus Seinfeld on this one. Um, I I vote against Friends every time I get a chance. I do, and not for any like I don't hate Friends at all. I really don't. I think that Friends gets with way too much hype than what it is. Um, Larry Harkin. We had an opportunity to beginning of when the show started, pre episode 50 type thing. So this is early in our situation. We had the opportunity to do an interview with Larry Harkin, the character, not the character, but the person who plays Larry Harkin on backstage. But as a the thing is though is that we have a rule on the show that Bastards Backstage is an interview show for people who have been a guest on Bastards. It's not. It's more of a privilege type thing to do that, and not just an actual like I want to do
Just
this,
a
but
thing.
but not that. So, but that happened a long ass time ago, and it's Kramer. I mean, I shouldn't have to say anything else besides that. It's freaking Kramer. Kramer gets my vote, just in general. Uh, Shy.
Um, so I don't give two fucks about either of these shows. Um, so I am picking Larry just to spite Michael Richards.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. No. I see your point on that one. Nancy, tie breaking decision.
Oh, so I will say that I kind of am apathetic to both these shows now. But I was a little bit more of a Friends fan when I was younger. I just now I watch Friends and I'm just like, why did I like this? Um no hate to anyone who loves Friends. I get why people love it. But I just it's not my cup of tea anymore. That all being said, um Kramer's iconic, man. As much as I don't want him as a neighbor, I like Kramer. He's funny. So I'm gonna go with Kramer.
I would like to say though, like I wouldn't want Kramer as a neighbor. I also wouldn't want Larry Harkin as a neighbor either, though.
No.
Larry Harkin, for anybody out there who don't remember who Larry Harkin is, he's the crazy cat owner that lived downstairs.
Yeah.
Yeah, really looking creepy dude. So at least Kramer is like will get into different antics with you,
Doesn't smell like cat piss.
even if it means stomping on a Puerto Rican flag during Pride. It just it's just during the parade. So Cosmo moves on 2-1 to the next round. Shy, is it Mary Alice Young from Desperate Housewives or Babette Dell from Gilmore Girls? Mary Alice Young, by the way, was the one that died, and she kicks off the show in Desperate Housewives. So she's a
I've
dead neighbor.
I've not seen either of these shows.
Oh, I highly recommend Gilmore Girls,
Um,
not Desperate Housewives. I highly recommend Gilmore Girls.
so just for shits and giggles, I'll say Gilmore Girls.
Gets a vote. By the way, path to parcels are unlimited, so you can path to parcels as much as you want. Nancy,
So it's been a long time since I watched Desperate Housewives. But from what I remember from the first couple seasons of Desperate Housewives, and even though she was dead the whole time, stuff that came out about Mary Alice,
oh my
um,
goodness.
I feel like I'm going to choose Gilmore Girls in this situation because, yeah, as much as she seemed like a perfect neighbor, had a lot of cuckoo. Keep that away from me. I'll take Gilmore Girls.
Babette Dell moves on 3-0 to the next round on this one. I'm just a fan of Gilmore Girls. And to be perfectly honest, I I don't live I mean, I live in a small town, don't get me wrong, I really do. I live in a small town, but I don't anywhere live close to a small town as Stars Hollow is.
Mhm.
And so I don't have neighbors like that because you have to be in a community where it's I don't think anybody has neighbors like they do um, in Gilmore Girls anymore because it's just kind of it's a different lifestyle nowadays, a different time period. People aren't really as friendly anymore. I know people that just don't really know their neighbors. Out of the what, one, two,
That
three,
was
four, five, out of the five people that surround me, I've met three of them. Granted, the people who live next door to me, that's a rental home, so they're in and out all the time anyway. But
I will say I'm in an apartment building, and so I actually in all the cases we've been living with apartments mainly since we've had Oliver. It's we know our neighbors pretty well. A lot of it is basically because um I mean Freddie's very familiar with my son trying to crash just to say hi to him anytime he knows we're recording. Is he's very intent and of trying to crash a recording session. So like that's my thing is I definitely have been lucky, even though I live in a city, to get that kind of relationship with neighbors because my son kind of forces that relationship on her.
and I think people in general are just good people. I really
Yeah,
do. So if you have an outstanding issue that uh, warrants assistance in some kind of way,
yeah,
like having a son on the entire spectrum that you need to worry about, I think people have a tendency to step up
oh yeah,
if they have the option. I deliver uh, different things to different people, and there's a whole bunch of times that if you say that you're that on the entire app, if you say that you have limited mobility, I have no problem going inside and at least putting the groceries on the counter for you. When I deliver to like old folks' homes and stuff like that, retirement establishments, I have a tendency to make sure to knock on on the door and ask if they want me to bring it and put it on their counter for them, so it's a lot easier for them to deal with. I don't have a
yeah.
problem with dogs. I don't have a problem with other animals as well. So it's just that type of thing. So I think people, and it may just be me. Other people may not give people the time of day type situation either. So I don't know. That just kind of is what it is. But that Dell moves on 3-0 to the next round. Next up, Nancy starts us off. Nancy, is it the Rubbles from Flintstones or Eddie Haskell from Leave It to Beaver?
I'm gonna go with the Rebels because I really like Barney. I like Barney Rubble. Um, I'm not sure if I'd love to be their neighbor, but I like Barney Rubble, so I'm gonna go with the Rebels.
Gets a vote. I'm gonna go with the Rebels too on this one. I would love to be their neighbor. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I don't know if I'd want to live in their time period.
That's more my thing. Is I'm not sure if I'd want to live in their time period. I'm trying to remember back because, like, again, it's been a while since I watched. Flintstones was one that in my small town is we got a lot of old 70s and 60s reruns, but I
Well,
don't remember.
there's folklore on this too, because I don't know if they've ever determined this. Is it are the Flintstones Stone Aged or are they post apocalyptic? Because
Listen,
there's a theory that the Jetsons and the Simpsons are in the same time frame. Like they exist in the same world. The Jetsons are just above the clouds where the Earth is like just crap at this point, and the Flintstones are after all this, like a big bomb exploded, which is why they have notion of like modern day stuff like dishwashers and record players and a whole bunch of other stuff, knowledge on how to make them.
I mean there is a movie. I don't remember the whole plot of it or how this happened, but there is a Hanna-Barbera movie where the Jetsons meet the Flintstones. So
I'm just saying there's a possibility. Rebels, however, do get my and to be honest too, I think it would be a problem trying to live in a post apocalyptic world But watching the Flintstones movie, I don't think it's going to be a major problem. And I deliver to a lot of people out in the country where there's nothing but like just wind blowing. And
Mhm.
there's at times that I prefer that. You just stand out there and just land as far as I can see, and not a soul around you, and it's just fantastic. So I don't think I'd mind it as much as I think I would, type thing. Gets my vote. Shy, finish this up. Is it the Rubbles or Eddie Haskell?
Yeah, it's also got to be the Rebels for me. I love the Flintstones.
Throwing out on that one. Last up, I start this one up. In Yep, last up in round one, we have Agatha Harkness from WandaVision or Steve Urkel from Family Matters. Uh, I'm gonna go with Steve Urkel on this one. Don't get me wrong. I think WandaVision had a little bit more of a perfect life type situation. I think as long as it's not uh, as long as it's not Agatha all along, and it's
Yeah.
WandaVision, because there's this big difference between the two of those. Uh, I think I think it'd be great. However, I also think having Steve Urkel as a neighbor would just be funny. Even if I'm the butt of the jokes half the time and I have to end up paying for it, like I just think having Steve Urkel as a neighbor, like you wouldn't know what's going to happen from day to day type thing. And if you have the ability to laugh at live like I do, I would be friends with him. I really would. Like I think it'd be great. And having somebody that intelligent, if you give him projects to do, which would get him away from you a lot more. If you give him projects to do, you may be able to see every movie in 3D without having to wear 3D glasses. I'm just saying. So I'm gonna go with Steve Urkel on this one. Shy,
Um, I'm gonna pass the parcel on that one.
gonna go to Steve Urkel as well, and an 18 vote difference on that one. Nancy,
So I am mainly since we have two Steve Urkels, and so I feel comfortable doing this now. And this is my whole thing: is if we got two Steve Urkels, I would do this. I'm going Agatha. Um, One because I kind of slightly live with a Steve Urkel like person, so I don't need to live next door to one too.
okay,
Uh,
I'm gonna have to ask which one you're describing though.
what do you which Steve Urkel I'm describing?
No, which which person are you living with that is Steve Urkel? Because
So, little tiny life story. For a long time, my husband and my best friend's phone was labeled as Urkel because my husband would dress in bow tie and suspenders with glasses and was basically very much of an, would like just come into where we worked, where me and my best friend worked, and would just like outright like cause Steve Urkel level chaos. Um,
did I do that?
yeah, literally, he also would say, "Did I do that?" Sometimes just to mess with her. And he would just come and cause shenanigans at our workplace or at things we would do, and so she would label him as Urkel. And he has mellowed out in recent years, but like, there's a reason why he plays a chaos bringer on his show. Like that is what David is. David doesn't seem like the kind of guy who just comes in and brings chaos, but that is David in my life. So I will take Agatha because honestly, I feel like it'd be a little bit fun, especially the different characters she played in WandaVision and just like seeing her personality in Agatha all along. I kind of would I kind of would like to see that. And also, hey, be fun to have a witch around during Halloween.
I and as far as the entire, I was talking to somebody the other day about how the 50s and 60s, right, the 50s, 60s kind of sucked. How the 50s were 40s and 50s were great. And he's like, "Yeah, if you were a guy type thing." I'm like, "Can you imagine a world that has kind of have 40s and 50s mentality where we had a smaller world,
Hmm.
so everybody knew our neighbors, we were all pretty much friends and everything else, but still had the rights and services and email and internet and stuff like that that we do today. For me, that's kind of the perfect world where, because he brought up, and I do agree with him on the entire thing. Is like, well, a lot of divorces didn't happen because women really couldn't divorce somebody because they couldn't have a bank account.
Yeah.
They couldn't own homes. They couldn't do anything else unless it was given to them from like their husband dying type thing. So, and again, I agree with that. Uh, my my question is though is that how do we get back to a world where we're dependent on each other like in the 40s and 50s, but we don't lose the advancements that we have today type thing. That's my that's my dream goal type situation for the world.
Honestly, I would love to live in one of the I'll say pre 2001, like sitcoms. Like most of those sitcoms of the time, like I would love to live in their worlds. Some probably not, but like I feel like if you in those worlds, those are worlds that are kind of, yeah, they do still have troubles, but you do see a lot more of humanity in sitcoms pre like 1999 and stuff. Most sitcoms, not all. Listen, I'm not talking about sir, I'm not talking about Archie Bunker. Um but like you get to see like humanity, and you get to see like kindness and more like neighbors and stuff, and I would love to live in that kind of world. And I but like take away all the real life stuff that happened in any given time frame, is I'd love to live in the fictionalized version that they had. I'd love to live in the world of like say the Brady Bunch, or even Bewitched, or I Dream of Jeannie. I would love to live in like those worlds. Would I live in the actual 50s, 60s, or 70s? Probably not. But I'd love to live in the worlds of the TV shows of those times.
That's one of the things I'm waiting for. Ready Player One, if
Yeah.
you've seen that movie, you have the ability in that movie to go and live uh, VR wise
Yeah.
in those type of worlds because somebody has created them, and do you have different characters that you can go along with. Pleasantville, the movie Pleasantville, actually kind of had that theory as a movie as well. It's like what would happen if you took somebody from now to back then? How bad would you screw up? Type thing. And
I
I think it's not a bad
always
idea.
I always used to feel that way about Edward Scissorhands, the very like cookie cutter
Hmm.
and everybody in their like in their same little dresses and the hairstyles and everything. I always thought that was really cute.
I will say honestly, I've said multiple times to David, I would love to be able to go back and like and raise my family in like the 90s, but like my version of 90s I had as a kid, which was my small, very isolated hometown and what I would see on TV. Like that kind of 90s environment, you
Yep.
know? And of course this is something that without AR or VR is not something that's necessarily possible, but just like looking the real world is like I'd rather live in the past in the 90s than live right now, but
Well,
all we
you
can do
know,
is just be in the present and be in the real world.
it was it was also a time when we were young enough that we didn't know
Yeah,
all the shit that was going on, so it seemed a lot
exactly.
more simple.
Exactly.
But by the way, for anybody out there, no, I did not just edit Shy. Um, her mic just cut out the moment she said the word shit. So that was that was just odd timing. What's really funny about that though too, not the edit thing, is that we all know this stuff happens, and it
Yeah.
happened back then too. But we still went out and we were the entire latchkey kids type thing. You have more of ability to say safer now as a kid than we ever did back then. Like
Yeah.
there's safety protocols on everything that you wouldn't allow that wouldn't happen back then. Now you have trackers that you can put in just a whole bunch of different things. People have cell phones that have trackers on them too. I have for work. I have 3 different tracking apps on my phone.
Yeah.
In general, I have a tracking app called I don't know, Family Life or Family Circle or whatever the hell it's called, that has not only myself but it has my wife and my teenager on the same app, so we know where we are. And there's at times where like I'll be coming home from work, and my son, my 6-year-old, my wife will hand him the phone so he can watch me drive home, like watch a
Yeah.
little icon get closer and closer to home. So there's you're safer nowadays. And since everybody since 9/11, everybody is in everybody else's business. You should have neighbors out there that are watching, like kind of not really watching your kids for you, but it has an extra set of eyes just in case if they see something weird going on, and they don't have to run home to go grab their phone to call you. They just have
Mhm.
their cell phone sitting right next to you and right next to them, and just go ahead and text you. So as parents, I don't know why there's not more kids just getting on their bikes and riding their bike 4 or 5 blocks down the road. Yeah, I know. Or sorry, as parents, let me rephrase that. As parents, we're not um, we're not incentivizing. We're not putting any kind of incentive on having play dates.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Not even calling them play dates. That's a really loose term. But having the ability to say, "Hey, mom, I'm going to go down to such and such house when you're 8 years old."
Mhm.
Not when you're a teenager, because we know you're a teenager. When you're up with your friends, you're probably doing something you shouldn't be, because you're exposed to more stuff like that. But as like a kid, I remember when I was in 3rd grade, walking down to my friend's house, which was on a very busy road. It's on Second Street. It was probably what, like a mile away one way. I remember walking down to the gas station by myself to go get some chips, candy, and pop, and then walking home again a mile away one direction. Either having to take really busy roads that didn't really have a sidewalk, or like back alleys.
Yep.
And it's just one of those things. So I don't know why we're not doing that now. Now that we have the technology to that our parents never had to know that we were safe.
I hope that because, it's almost like every couple of years or so, you'll see kind of stuff like come back around. I hope like I wish it never would have went away, but I hope in like the next couple of years you'll see people pushing more for that. Like, no, go get on your bikes and go ride with your friends. Go do the shit that we used to do. Go have fun.
Well, and I think it starts with knowing your neighbors.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think it does. I think as parents, um, we need to know who our neighbors are and if they have kids. Granted, nobody around my little area of town, has kids anywhere near my son's age. My oldest kid who's in high school, or my youngest kids who's in going into first grade next year. Like neither one of them have kids anywhere around this age, so it kind of sucks for me. But I also live on a main drag type thing, so it's kind of hard for my kid just go out there and have fun because kids are not kids. People are driving past my house going 30, 40 miles an hour, and I don't have a
Yeah.
fenced in yard. So I can see the point, but it's just it
But
depends on a whole bunch of different circumstances.
even in places that are smaller, like the area that I grew up in, like whenever I've spent more time back at my parents who still live in the house that I primarily grew up in, like even while I was still living at home, um, like in my mid 20s, um, I would go sit outside and I'm like, there's no kids doing anything out here anymore. And I went back to visit them not too long ago, and you're seeing a kid with his headphones on riding up and down the street on his bike. Could see along the other like main road part there was like a group of girls walking around, and I was like, finally we're seeing some kids out here doing some kid shit.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too. In my parents' neighborhood is I just remember like being a kid. It's like especially around. We were just there for spring break. Now, my dad would say that a lot of it is the spring break for their area was not the spring break for where I live. So he said that's probably it. But it was nice that week, and even in the afternoon, I could hear kids around noon from the local elementary school because the elementary school is just a block away from where they live. But like even after the school bus would come, I wouldn't see any kids on their block, and I know they have a lot of kids who live there. And it's just like you don't see or hear the same amount of like outdoor play that like I remember as a kid. And maybe it's me like looking back, being like, "Oh, back in my day, we used to play outside with a stick and a ball and not a tablet." But like, or it's just I don't know. And it's one of those things is where we really encourage in our house, but it's so easy with having a child who's on the spectrum, and so many kids on the spectrum just like live off of their tablets, and it was just something that we did not want for him. And he just likes he's a kid who loves to walk to the park and just go ham on a play place, or just find a random kid and chase them around the park. So like that's a lot of what we do.
I think
That's
that's one
good.
thing. I think that's one thing I got to do too because I'm guilty of it. I have the opportunity. There's a park right down the street from us, and it's a nice park. It's a nice wooden park. Just even if I'm not playing, like if even if I have a show to edit, because I can edit on my phone just fine. Just to have them go out and have fun on the playground if there's other
It's one
kids
of the
out
things that I absolutely love, especially as being a mom of a child on the spectrum and as far in the spectrum as my son um, is I just love when there's other kids, is my little guy just lights up. And it's like I really don't have to do anything besides make sure that he is not putting things in his mouth and he is respecting people's boundaries. Um, like he and other kids can just entertain themselves. And I've seen I was recently like at a trampoline park in my parents' hometown, and he just found a little girl a little older, and she just grabbed his hand and she was like taking him on everything. And I just think that there's nothing quite like doing the indoor playgrounds, the parks, is if you can like if you're able to afford that stuff. And now suddenly the sun has decided to come out here in upstate New York, where it's been underwater its entire spring. Sorry, I'm a little annoyed. But anyway, it's just like there's nothing like it than to let your kids get out there. Just take them public parks, take them to indoor playgrounds, any sort of place where kids gather, because I really feel that's what kids need.
And people teaching their kids to get out there and be friendly.
Oh yeah.
All right. Before we get again even deeper into this entire rabbit hole, Steve Urkel moves on to the next round. Be right back right after this break. I have the unique ability as a podcaster, as a host, especially as a whole bunch of different shows, to talk to a lot of intriguing people. We do not have any people on the show this particular week that are guests on today's show. So, what we're going to end up doing is go ahead and do our ad space right now, real quick, and then hopefully in the next section we can go ahead and just fly by right through it. Shai, what you been up to?
Oh, not a whole lot. Um, just working and everything. But if you want to catch me outside of here, you can catch me on the Sport Cat shows on Monday. On every other Monday, we have Monday Night Horrors, and on Wednesdays we have the Para or Normal Guys. You can catch me on Mondays from noon to 2 Eastern Time on the Thin Line Rock Station. They also have an app now, so you don't have to go to their website. You can just look up the Thin Line Rock Station in your app store. And then you can also catch me goofing off over on TikTok on Asylum Shy 96.
And of course, one of the people from the Dr. P.F. Jeremiah and his Infernal Roommate podcast, which is one of our shows on the ABC Podcast Network. We have Nancy. Nancy, how you doing there dear?
I'm doing good. I just keeping busy as I was mentioning. We're approaching the end of school over here, so it's a whole bunch of things you have to juggle, and then we've been keeping busy on our podcast. We've got some really fun story beats coming up for everyone. So if you are following our podcast and if you liked our adventures, stay tuned. We got some really exciting things happening, and we also are starting to interview people for our short film, our indie short film extravaganza, our second year doing this. So, also, if you guys know an indie filmmaker with a film who would love to talk about it, please reach out to us. We're looking for one more film, but that's about it.
Believe it or not, I do.
You know,
Actually,
definitely reach out.
I have two. I don't know if he has a film out right now, but I know he is a director. Uh, so he probably has something going on, doing
Yeah,
something. But
they're doing a short film extravaganza. They have an animated film from Greece that they're going to interview the guys who made that. And then she was a filmmaker who we've worked with before for our last short film extravaganza. She had a film about a dog that we absolutely loved on the show. And she's coming back with 3 of her short films for us to cover. And the guys just they're looking for just one more, just to round it out. So yeah, reach out to the guys.
yeah, there's a guy by the name of Isaac. He has a podcast called Too Many Words.
Bless you.
I did not get my mic shut off in enough time. Finger wasn't quick enough.
No, shame on you.
No, and I do apologize. I was going through the to the entire guest portion of today's show, and I was sitting there going, it's like, we don't have any guests anymore on today's show because Nancy, who would be the only one to fill that spot, she's not a guest. She's a part of the actual program now.
Yeah.
So I don't have anybody to do that. So I will go ahead and do my spot just to fill the reins at the actual our break type thing to do that. So oh yeah, and as far as Nancy's goes, they've finally, after multitude of times of asking, they have finally figured out a way to get me onto the show. After I've told them
Yay!
no multiple times. I don't say no to a lot of shows, and the only reason why I said no to their show so many times is because I I didn't want to bring it down, and I know that their show in general I wouldn't be up to speed for, but they, through the graciousness and goodwill of what they have figured out a way that I can participate on their show, and I appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to it. So there's that.
Yeah,
Um,
we just have to finish getting through this season. Just because it's gonna get heavy this season. Just with some of the stuff, and Freddie knows some of the stuff that we are trying to do this season. Um, but like we have to get through this season, and then we're gonna we're getting our plan. We're also gonna throw in one or multiple of our clan members. We're thinking we're gonna throw Goose at you for the episode you do. Is we're gonna have either Goose or we're gonna have Parker, who's Javenger. So be prepared. We just think it's gonna be funnier with Goose. It just won't make sense with Mark. Just with what we have planned with Mark. But we're thinking it's gonna be Goose, and that's gonna be really fun
and last
because
but
you're gonna
certainly
have
not least,
two aliases.
they're not a guest on today's show, but they've had their voice heard a couple times so far, and that is the audience. The audience could be you. You could also be a guest on the show in general, but if you want to be part of the audience, you're not really a vocal type person, go ahead and check out Bracket Bastards, the audience vote over on Facebook, where you can vote along every single week. We're doing something special. We are moving to a completely different format as far as the show goes. So there's going to be more tournaments for the next couple of weeks as far as the show goes. But next week, we're going to be doing Rule 34, which I know Shai is looking forward to, where we're talking about different legitimate porno names, uh, porno movie names that are making fun or at least based on other legitimate movies, quote unquote. Pocahontas for Pocahontas, Shaving Ryan's Privates for Saving Private Ryan. Uh, one of my favorite ones to read off of. Glad glad he ate her for Gladiator, and there's a whole bunch more going down the line. So make sure to check that one out. Those to vote, by the way, those actually go live tonight all the way through like Saturday, this upcoming Saturday. But
For our Saturday show for the Misfits, I did one similar, and it was you had to guess whether it was a rock band, a racehorse, or a porno.
no, yeah, okay.
I used to listen to NPR a lot, and there was a show where they had one of their recurring segments was this, that, or the other. They had like some ridiculous ones like that occasionally.
All right. Welcome back for round two. It looks like Shy starts us off on this one. Shy, please note that you have Steal a Vote and Blown a Load all ready to go. Is it Bill from King of the Hill or Cleveland from Family Guy?
Mm, I think because I think I'm actually gonna steal your vote on this one because I know where you're gonna go. So I'm gonna go Cleveland on this one.
Okay. Um, I don't blame you, but I would have gone Cleveland as well. The only reason I voted for Bill because like having a psychotic neighbor like Dale would be really troublesome. But Nancy, Cleveland gets the two votes. Is it Bill or Cleveland?
I was going in. I am going with Bill. Oh my goodness.
Cleveland. Cleveland moves on 2-1 to the next round. Next up, uh, Nancy starts us off. Nancy, is it Ned Flanders or Mr. Dink?
Ned Flanders.
Get to vote. I'm gonna go with Flanders as well. I do enjoy the show, Doug. It's a damn good show, but Flanders is probably one of the most famous neighbors of all time. So off of namesake alone, I'm going to go for Flanders. Shy, finish this up.
And it's going to be Flanders for me as well.
3 and out. Flanders moves on to the next round. Next up, I start us off is either going to be Joe from Family Guy or Kramer from Seinfeld. Um, I'm gonna I'm gonna try to go art over artist on these things. So because there's probably a couple things on here that there's just going to be problematic in general. So Kramer as a neighbor or Joe as a neighbor, I think, to be honest, I think there's some benefits of having a cop as a neighbor. I'm not one to get myself into trouble, but it'd be nice to have a cop as a friend, just in case if you need a little bit of protect and serve every once in a while.
I mean, as long as you don't mind it being mildly delayed due to the wheelchair.
Having a cop as a neighbor or having the police show up at my house, I'm pretty sure the cop as a neighbor would still show up even in a wheelchair. And to be perfectly honest, there was a baseball episode where they brought in Joe as a ringer, not knowing that he was in a wheelchair at the time, and they wanted to kick him off the team or say it was a mistake until they found out what he could do in the actual wheelchair. And Joe is pretty freaking fast.
Yeah.
So, and I'm pretty sure they wouldn't. Anywhere you go, you wouldn't have a cop in a wheelchair who's an actual person on the force instead of just having them in the office somewhere. And that's because you can't chase through fields on a freaking wheelchair unless it's motorized. And then talk about freaking RoboCop off that situation. But I'm gonna go with Joe on this one, just for the simple fact that I I have pretty much an open door policy, but I think having Kramer just barge in all the time would just piss me off eventually. So Joe gets my vote. Chai.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that one. I would just get tired of listening to Kramer and barging in all the time, so I have to go for Joe as well.
Gets a vote, Nancy.
Yeah, Kramer would be fun for like the first week, and then he would get old really quick. Where as someone who grew up in a neighborhood where a lot of my parents' neighbors were either ex-military or cops, it's nice to have, believe it or not. So I'm gonna go with Joe.
Moves on to the next round, beating out Cosmo. Shy starts us off. Shy, is it Marcy Darcy from Married with Children or the Rebels from the Flintstones?
Oh, it's got to be the Rebels all day over Marcy.
Gets a vote, Nancy.
Oh, the Rebels, all day,
Gets
every
another.
day.
Gets another one. I'm going to go with the Rebels as well. Rebels moves on 3-0. Uh, Nancy starts us off. Nancy, is it Squidward from SpongeBob or Bob Pinciotti from that '70s show?
Go with Bob.
Upside down pineapple for the win. Shy.
Yeah, just for the upside down pineapple. Yeah, I'll go that way.
And for everybody out there who don't know what I mean on that one, go look it up. Just not anywhere around people you care about. Um,
They make great gifts.
they really do, and
Wink.
they make excellent cream pies too.
They hear you
Sorry.
first.
Anything else to say after that, there, Shy?
No, I'm agreeing.
Yep, you're not wrong on that one. All right. I start this one off. It's either going to be Penny from The Big Bang Theory or Fred and Ethel from I Love Lucy. Again, the way Penny brought her neighbors, uh, and not only the immediate neighbors, but there's other stories on how Penny talked to some of the other neighbors around that they never the boys ever actually talked to. Sheldon or Leonard actually ever talked to in the past. So I'm gonna. I think Penny would be a lot more fun. That and I think Fred and Ethel would be a lot more practical in
Mhm.
general. But I think Penny would be the type of neighbor that you just kind of want to. You her vibe checks a lot better than Fred and Ethel does. So I'm gonna go with Penny off of this one. Shy.
Yeah, I've got to go with Penny off of the vibe as well because you could just go over and have a girls' day and everybody bitch about their problems and eat ice cream and watch TV and just chill.
Nancy.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Penny because, like, also between how she interacts with Leonard and Sheldon, how she interacts with Leonard and Sheldon's friend group, and then how she is with the eventual women's friend group. Like, yeah, no, I would love to have her as a neighbor. I think she'd be so much fun as a neighbor.
Penny moves on 3-0 to the next round. Next up, Shy starts us off. Shy, is it Wilson from Home Improvement or Babette Dell from Gilmore Girls?
Wilson.
Gets a vote. Nancy
Wilson.
gets a vote. Gets my vote too. Uh, I don't get me wrong. I think, but Babette, Babette, Babette. There you go. Would be a good neighbor to have, especially with kids around and everything else. I think Wilson could be kind of weird at times, but as a homeowner, I think I would much rather just. I'd spend a lot more time outside with
Yeah.
Wilson as a neighbor. I just would.
Also, the sheer amount of like life experience and like
Hmm.
different things that Wilson, from the stories that he's told and like the life experience that he's had from his different stories and stuff, is like I just feel like Wilson would be like a great neighbor to have, like especially if you're raising a family and you have this person who's like able to like be like that slightly goofy neighbor but also is like to give you life advice and like talk to your kids and be like that kind of person is there's a lot to be said with having that kind of person for a child. Because I grew up in a situation where my parents had two elderly neighbors on either side. One was a widow, and she would like basically like she was so great and was constantly great to us kids. And the other, he it was him and his wife, and he was a retired IRS officer. They were both like retired government, and they just were like great with stories. They were great with kids. They're great there to be like good role models to the kids to keep an eye on your kids. And I just think that like it was a very similar in a way to Wilson is both of these people. And there's like it's a great neighbor to have.
And see, I honestly don't remember anything that my adult neighbors, did as work when I was a kid.
I only remember because no, there was a comment that he had like made to my parents because we had a fire when I was a kid, and he was like talking to my parents about like stuff with like taxes when they were getting work done and stuff, and that's when it came up that he used to work for the IRS, and then much later in her obituary, um, when she passed away, the other neighbor, it came out that her husband, and the reason why she had so much money is she was able to live in a really nice house and always keep it up as like an 80, 90-year-old woman, was her husband was a CIA. Her husband worked for the CIA. And she had a really good government pension.
I mean, there you go. Um, Wilson moves on 3-0 to the next round off of that one. Oh, I think Nancy starts this one off. Nancy, last up in round 2, is it Mimi Bobek from Drew Carey Show or Steve Urkel from Family Matters?
Oh, Mimi. Oh, come on. It'd totally be Mimi. Mimi would be so much fun because she's one of those people who can, like, definitely go tete-a-tete with their neighbor, or in her case, her coworker with Drew. And also, like, she'd be so much fun to get, like, some styling advice from. Like, if you're one of those people who likes to, like, have crazy styles or try new styles, imagine having her as your neighbor or in the cubicle next to you is, like, basically asking, like, where she goes or, like, get her style advice. That would be fun.
Uh, Shy, I don't trust you enough to make the correct decision on this one. I'm going to steal Shy's vote. There you go. I'm going to steal Shy's vote. We're going to go with Steve Urkel on this one. I like Mimi Bobek as a character, I really do, but like I think Steve Urkel, there's a lot more bonus points to having Steve Urkel as a neighbor than there would be to having Mimi as a neighbor, especially considering that Mimi, if I remember right, had uh, a subplot storyline was that is that Mimi had a crush on Drew the entire time. Uh, and I don't think I could I could stand having a neighbor having a crush on me. It would just get way too freaking complicated. So I'm gonna go with Steve Urkel on this one. Shy, we're both gonna be going for Steve Urkel on this one. But what would your vote be for between Steve Urkel and Mimi Bobek?
It would have been Urkel.
There you go. I'm glad I made that decision either way. 2-1, Urkel moves on, and we'll be right back right after this break. I'm your host, Freddie Fisher. I don't only host this show, which is Bracket Bastards. If you don't know what this show is by this point, I apologize. Apparently, we haven't done a good enough job describing it to you. Other than that, I host some more. Number one is the show Central Booking. It is a pro wrestling based podcast where we don't really talk about current events type things. It is more of it's a fan based show based for fans. We get to go in there. We get a fantasy book. This upcoming week, we're going to be booking on who is going to dethrone current champions. And we have a whole bunch of other random topics on top of that as well. If you are a wrestling fan and you want to talk about wrestling fan topics, please go ahead and check out Central Booking. If you want to be a part of the show too, go ahead and message us. We have the only request, the only I can't think of the word I'm looking for. The only needed thing that you need to be on the show is to be a fan of wrestling. Other than that, we have the Recasting Call. The Recasting Call is a show where we take old movies and add some new favorites, take a movie made before the year 2000 and recast it with people from today. The movie current episode Die Hard is going to be coming out this upcoming week as well. I'm currently editing that one. We have Treasure Planet and Back to the Future coming up on top of that later on, and a certain baby special coming up as well. So go ahead and check that one out because my co-host Kate, who is actively pregnant at this point, will be giving birth pretty soon. Bastards Backstage is an interview show where we go one-on-one with a special guest. There is 20 questions, but millions of answers and some really long response times at times, just like Nancy had, and that was a fun show. Should be coming out pretty soon as well. Look forward to that one. And of course, Versus. It's a new show that we have where we take a tournament of 16, but it is a single elimination tournament as always. But you don't only pick the winner, you also pick the contenders and the topic. This entire thing is completely up to you. I'm just there to host it. That is the shows that we do, and we invite you on to every single one of them. Welcome back for round 3 and beyond. Or sorry, before we get to that. Nancy, you have both lifelines. Myself and sh- Shy only have loads to blow. So keep that in mind. Welcome back for round 3 and beyond. It looks like. Uh, do I start this one off? I think so. Looks like I start this one off. It's either going to be Cleveland from Family Guy or Bob Pinciotti from That 70s Show. Okay. Getting rid of the entire upside down pineapple type situation. I still think Bob would be a better neighbor. I just do. I think Bob would be the type of neighbor. I mean, I might not trust him around my wife, but uh, I think Bob would be the type of neighbor that you can actually have decent conversations with. Cleveland's a good guy and all, but like I'm gonna go with Bob. Bob gets my vote. Jai
Yeah, I mean, I still got to go with Cleveland.
gets a vote. Nancy,
I'm going with Bob.
2-1. Bob moves on to the next round. Shy starts us off on this one. Shy, is it Joe from Family Guy or Wilson from Home Improvement?
It's got to be Wilson.
Nancy,
Yeah, it's got to be Wilson.
in another one, in another triple threat off of that one, Wilson moves on 3-0. Next up, Nancy starts us off. Nancy, is it Flanders from The Simpsons or Penny from Big Bang Theory?
Penny.
Penny gets a vote. I'm going to go for Penny as well off of that one. Shy.
And in that case, between the two of them, I would have to go with Flanders.
So it's not Penny.
No.
Ah, 2-1. Penny moves on to the next round. Okay. And last up, so this is the last time for Nancy to steal a vote, and I start this one off. So Nancy can't steal a vote because she's going last,
Yep.
unless somebody blows her, either myself or Shy blows the load. Um, it is between the Rubbles from the Flintstones or Steve Urkel from Family Matters. I I like the idea that Steve would at least bring a little bit of advancement, like scientific advancement to the house. Like, could you imagine the home theater system that Steve Urkel would just build for you? But then again, I don't want to just use my neighbors. So I think as friends, I think the Rubbles would not only be a friend, Barney would be a friend to me, and probably Betty. Betty would be a friend for me too, but at least Betty would be a friend for my wife as well. So
Yeah.
having good neighbors across the board that we can go out and watch like an outside movie with, or bonfires, or not bonfire, but like an entire fire pit type situations, and just kind of have fun with. I'm gonna go with Rebels on this one. Sorry for Steve. Um, Shy,
Yeah, I would have to go with the Rebels on that one as well.
Nancy.
I'm going to Rebels because, like, as you said, it's like the you have the husbands could be like friends, and also I know my husband would hit it off with Barney Rebel. Like Betty Rebel would be fun, and also to have like having another kid who's around the same age as your own. Hey, that would be awesome. Although I'll be honest, my son is totally also Bam Bam, so it would be two Bam Bams, and that might be a disaster.
At least he's got a friend.
At least he's got a friend until there goes the neighborhood, because the two Bam
I
Bams.
just I pictured that vine of the kid running around the backyard What do you have? A knife.
Listen, we've had a couple of situations with that, where because we have an art cart and he started to like want his gummies cut, and so his technician, who is someone who like works in our house and stuff, she literally, I heard going, "Where did you get the scissors?" And he's just like walking around with scissors to cut open his gummies.
It'd be him in the backyard with a pair of scissors instead of a knife.
Yep.
All right, Shy, we're down to our final four on Neighbors. Pick one of these four. Is it Bob Pinciotti from that 70s show? The Rubbles as a pair from the Flintstones? Penny from Big Bang Theory? Or Wilson from Home Improvement?
Penny.
Uh, is it Penny from Big Bang Theory or Bob from 70s show?
Penny.
Penny gets a vote. Nancy?
Penny.
I I got to go bro code on this one. I'm gonna go with Bob, uh, breaking up that entire three-peat on that one. Um, not only for the entire upside down pineapples, but uh, from what Bob also smokes a lot of weed. So
He'd probably share.
yeah. Oh, Bob's a sharer. You know, Bob's a sharer. Bob's gonna share. So in
But
either way, Penny.
I think Bob might share a little bit too much, though.
Yeah, but it's worth it. And to each their own.
If you're into that, all right.
I mean, I'm all for some upside down pineapple cake. Main word cake. Um, Nancy, is it Wilson or the Rebels?
Oh, this is hard.
But she said.
Yeah. That
Ask Bob.
I'm really hoping one of you guys would say it.
Somebody ask Bob about it.
I think I'm going to go with Wilson, and I did not make this decision lightly.
Oh, I'm making the decision lightly. Wilson gets my vote as well. Shy.
Uh, I'm trying to decide whether to be an asshole or not. Just for the sake of it, I'm also going to go with Wilson.
Okay. 3 and out. Wilson moves on to the next round. Moves on to the final third place. I start us up. It is either going to be Bob from the 70s show or the Rebels from uh, Flintstones. I'm pretty sure with Bob you would get uh, Bob's wife too, and I cannot remember her damn name. There were two of them. Like I'm pretty sure that she was super flighty, so it'd be
You'd
like
also
meeting
get
and
Donna if you're
it'd
going
be
with that '70s
yeah,
show.
you get Donna too, and I have a teenager, so I don't know if he has a thing for redheads like I do, but either way, I'm gonna go for Bob on this one for all the previous things mentioned, and just to make things fair, I'm pretty sure Bob's married. The Rebels have their relationship as well, so weed and weed and pineapples kind of gets to vote off of that one. Shy
Yeah, that's kind of the way I'm leaning as well. For him
weed
being,
and weed and pineapples,
yeah,
which might be the name of today's episode, by the way. Weed and pineapples.
There we go.
sharing is caring. So
Oh, no, that's what it is. All right. Name of today's episode, Sharon is Karen. Bob gets her vote. Nancy, is it Bob or Rebels?
I'm gonna give it to the Rebels.
Rebels
I'm
two
gonna
to
give it to the
one.
Rebels just so we can have the chaos that would be if Oliver and Bam Bam team up.
Bob gets the vote 2 to 1. Third place finals. Shy starts this off. Nobody has blown a load. Shy, is it Wilson from Home Improvement or Penny from Big Bang Theory? By the way, the audience vote, when we did this week for the audience vote, this came down to the exact same two.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Granted, there's a 20 vote difference between the two of them, but
so just for the vibe and everything, I've got to go with Penny.
Penny gets a vote. By the way, for everybody out there keeping score, that is the very first vote against Wilson this entire game. So the possibility of 2 pearl necklaces in a row, Shy has officially taken that away from us.
Womp womp.
I'm sorry, but I don't feel bad about it.
Emotional damage.
Sorry, that's funny every time I hear that. Nancy, is it Wilson or Penny?
I am going to go with Wilson.
Which means there's a tiebreaking coming down to me. Um, I'm going to agree with the audience on this one. So for anybody out there who has been paying attention to the audience vote over on the bracket bashes, the audience vote knows that I'm going to go with one of the best storytellers of all time, one of the most unique humans, one of the most interesting men in the world. I have got to go with Wilson, the third. I think he's the third. I can't remember. The third, getting another vote, 2 to 1. Wilson gets today's vote, today's win as the best TV neighbor of all time. But I have a special because you guys may have noticed there is one name missing from this one. So I have a bonus round. This one, when we did this one back in the day on the original uh, on bracketology before we changed it to the bracket batch of the audience vote, the original winner for this one was not Wilson. That is because the original winner was not in this particular bracket. So Nancy starts us off
Mm-hmm.
as an ultimate winner. Is it Wilson from Home Improvement or Mr. Feeney?
Feeney!
Shy.
It's Mr. Feeney. Come on.
I'm gonna go for Mr. Feeney as well off of this one. I'm surprised nobody said, but yeah, Mr. Feeney wins this week. I'm surprised nobody mentioned Mr. Feeney not being in this tournament at all. Like nobody from the beginning. When
I
we
mean, I was going to
posted this.
mention the injustice of Pat not being on here from Bluey.
Yeah, I mean, I thought about it, but like,
Well, then we could have talked about Dinkelberg from Fairly Odd Parents.
I mean, there might be another neighbors tournament. I need to do one for movies eventually, but you know what's going to happen. Another reason why Feeney wasn't on this particular list is because we have another tournament coming up on uh 8/24, so right before school starts this year, called Totally Teachers, where we give our salute to teachers every year, and we're talking about teachers from TVs and movies. I believe the finals came down when we did this on the Bracketology, it ended up being McGonagall from Harry Potter versus Mr. Feeney on the TV show side. So that's another reason why Mr. Feeney wasn't in this particular bracket. But nobody asked that question, and it surprised me because Mr. Feeney was kind of a shoe in to win this entire thing. Gets the vote and the win. Uh, that is our show this week, guys. If you guys like our picks, do not like our picks, I want to hear from you guys in the comments. As always, on bleh. Next week we have Rule 34. You guys know what that is. Hopefully, if not, go check it out by the end of the show. You can find Shay at.
You can find me on the Sport Cat shows on YouTube, on the Thin Line Rock Station on Mondays from 12 to 2 Eastern, and on TikTok at Asylum Shine 96. And you can find Nancy at.
You can find me over on the Dr. P.F. Jeremiah and his Infernal Roommate podcast. We are here on this network on get uploaded on Saturdays. You can also find me occasionally over on our Facebook page, and yeah.
And of course, I'm your host, Freddie Schuss. You can find me at that on Facebook. While you're on Facebook, check out Bracket Batch of the Audience Vote, where you can vote along with us every single week. On Twitter, I'm at Fisher777. We're all at Bracket Poda. And on Instagram, as always, you can find me at Can't Lick Me, not one word. By the way, since none of us actually blew our loads on this one, I cannot go without giving you the pleasure of hearing these at least once. Okay, maybe twice. Oh, wait, there's three of us, so let's go ahead and do this time just for shits and giggles. This is how we leave a show on a good way. Speaking of that, by the way, I like to leave every single show with a quote. Today's quote comes from everybody's favorite neighbor, who was actually not on this list, and I feel bad for about it. Because who do you think of when you think of good neighbors? It had to be Fred Rogers. Neighbors are people who are close to us, and friends are people who are close to our hearts. From the late but very, very great and close to my heart personally, Mr. Fred Rogers. That is our show this week, guys. Have a good one.